John plays a Plains, Tom plays a Forest and a Soul Ring, Extra plays a Tapped Prairie Stream, and Sam plays a Morphic Pool. With that out of the way, and Tom already making himself the archenemy, John starts his second turn with a Swamp and casts Core Spirit Dancer. He passes to Tom. Tom plays a Guardian Augmenter and bounces his Forest for a Gruul Turf before passing to Extra. Extra plays a Command Tower and an Arcane Signet, then passes. Sam plays a Tainted Isle and a Talisman of Dominance, then passes to John. John plays another Swamp and casts his commander, Eriette. He then passes to Tom. Tom plays a Mountain and casts his own commander, Agatha. He then proceeds to cast Diviner's Wand and swings his Guardian Augmenter and Extra before passing. Extra plays a Yavimaya Coast and casts Brenard. While on his turn, Sam plays a Swamp and completes the Commander Quartet with his own Alela. Back on his turn, John plays Caves of Koilos, then uses Darksteel Mutation to stop Tom's Guardian Augmenter, drawing 1 thanks to Core Spirit Dancer. He casts Vampiric Link, enchanting his Spirit Dancer and drawing another card. He does the same with Spirit Link, losing 1 life to tap his Caves of Koilos for white and drawing again. He moves to combat, attacking Tom with his 4-power Spirit Dancer, gaining 8 life from both Aura's triggers. He then passes, and on his end step, Eriette drains his opponents for 3. On his turn, Tom plays a Forest, equips Agatha with Diviner's Wand, then passes. Extra plays a Kadama's Reach, putting a Forest into play and a Plains into his hand. He plays a tapped Breeding Pool for turn, then passes to Sam. Sam plays a Mind Stone and goes to combat, attacking John with Alela. On dealing combat damage, Alela goes John's Spirit Dancer, and Sam passes to John. John plays a Plains for turn, then casts Planar Disruption on Agatha, drawing 1 from Spirit Dancer. In response, Tom activates Agatha's Diviner's Wand ability to draw a card. Then Planar Disruption resolves. John then plays Dead Man's Chest, targeting Brenard and drawing a card. He then attacks Extra with Spirit Dancer, gaining 8 from both Link Auras. Finally, Eriette triggers on end of turn, to which Sam responds with a Pongify, targeting Spirit Dancer, triggering Alela and making a 1/1 fairy. Pongify resolves, Spirit Dancer dies, setting John's Aura count back to 3. John makes a 3/3 ape, and Eriette drains the table for 3. The turn then moves to Tom. Tom plays a Forest, followed by a Birds of Paradise. He equips his birds with Diviner's Wand and passes to Extra. Extra plays a Hinterland Harbor for turn. He casts Darksteel Splicer, making 3/3/3 golems. He moves to his end step, and Sam responds by casting Corrupted Conviction, sacking his fairy to draw 2 while making a new fairy with Alela. The turn then moves to Sam. Sam plays a Drowned Catacombs for turn, casts Naiad of Hidden Coves, then goes to combat. He attacks John with Alela and Extra with the fairy, both dealing damage and triggering Alela to goad Eriette and 1 of Extra's golems. Sam then passes to John. John plays a Plains, then immediately goes to combat. He attacks Tom with Eriette, and Tom blocks her with the 0/1 Indestructible Guardian Augmenter. John then goes to his end step, where Tom activates his bird's Diviner's Wand ability to draw 1. Then Eriette drains the table for 3. Tom then moves to his turn. Tom plays a Forest, then casts Drillworks Mole. He passes, and on his end step, Sam flashes in Scion of Una, triggering Alela and making a fairy. The turn then moves to Extra. Extra plays a Plains, then casts Sensor Splicer, making a 3/3 golem. He casts Gingerbrute. He goes to combat, swinging 2 golems and the Gingerbrute at Sam and another golem at John. He passes, and Sam flashes in Fairy Mastermind, making a fairy with Alela. On his own turn, Sam attacks John with Scion of Una, and Extra with 3 fairies, Alela, and the Fairy Mastermind. Alela triggers, goading Eriette and one of Extra's golems again. Sam then passes back to John. John plays a Plains, then casts Angelic Destiny, targeting his ape token. He then attacks Tom with Eriette, who blocks her with the Guardian again. On end of turn, Eriette drains the table for 4. Tom activates his bird twice to draw 2, while Sam's Fairy Mastermind triggers, letting him draw 1. Sam also casts Village Rites, sacking a fairy and drawing 2, while making a new fairy with Alela. On Tom's turn, he plays Kessig Wolfrun for turn, he casts a Tady, Primal Conqueror, and each player exiles from the top of their libraries until they hit a non-land card. Tom then casts all 4 exiled cards, those being Meteor Golem, targeting Darksteel Mutation, Angelic Gift, targeting a Tady, Plum the Forbidden with no additional sacks, and a Flamewake Invoker. The spells resolve, Darksteel Mutation is destroyed, and Tom draws 1 from Angelic Gift. Tom then plays Shaman of the Forgotten Ways, then passes, with Sam flashing in Fairy Harbinger, tutoring Tegwile, Duke of Splendor, on top of his library, while making a fairy with Alela. Once Extra gets to his turn, he plays Rejuvenating Springs, he attacks John with a Golem, and Sam with 3 of his other Golems and the Ginger Brute. In response, Sam casts Brazen Borrower's Adventure, bouncing Brenard, making a fairy with Alela. Sam also casts Pepper Smoke, targeting Darksteel Splicer, while Extra activates Ginger Brute, making it unblockable. Then we move to blocks. Sam blocks 1 Golem with Harbinger, 2 other Golems with a fairy each, and John blocks the 4th Golem with his ape. Extra responds by dispatching Scion of Una. Combat damage resolves, and in his second main, Extra recasts Brenard from his hand. He passes to Sam. Sam plays a Swamp and goes to combat. He attacks John with 2 fairies, and Extra with a fairy and the Mastermind. John blocks a fairy with his ape, and the rest goes through. Triggering Alela. Sam has her goad one of Extra's golems and John's ape. Sam then passes, with John casting a Timely Ward, enchanting Eriette. On his own turn, John plays Open the Armory, getting Unquestioned Authority into his hand. He plays a Swamp for turn, he casts Unquestioned Authority on his ape, drawing a card, and giving it protection from creatures. He swings the ape at Extra for 7, and Extra dies. On end of turn, Eriette also drains the table for 4. For his turn, Tom plays a Forest, then activates Drillworks Mole, put a 1/1 counter on itself and Agatha. He activates a Tady, paying 2 life, to transform it. He plays Helena and Elena, partners, then goes to combat. Helena and Elena triggers, putting 2 1/1 counters on Agatha. Before attacks, John flashes in Minions Return, targeting a Tady. Tom swings a Tady at Sam, and Sam responds by flashing in Hullbreaker Horror, making a fairy with Alela. Sam also flashes in Spectral Sailor after Hullbreaker Horror resolves, allowing Sam to bounce a Tady to Tom's hand. Tom then passes to Sam. Sam casts Deadly Dispute, sacking Mind Stone to draw 2 and make a treasure. Hullbreaker triggers, bouncing Helena and Elena. Sam casts Tegwile, Duke of Splendor, bouncing Unquestioned Authority. Goes to combat, attacking John with a fairy, and Tom with everything else. Tom blocks Hullbreaker with Guardian, and the Alela with the birds. And before damage, activates Flame Wave Invoker, dealing 5 damage to Sam. After damage, Alela triggers twice, goading John's ape and Tom's Flame Wave. John plays a Shattered Sanctum for turn. He casts Generous Gift, targeting Hullbreaker. In response, Sam flashes in Vendilion Click, targeting John, bouncing Eriette with Hullbreaker, and making a fairy with Alela. Click's trigger resolves last, and Sam chooses the bounced Eriette for John to put on the bottom of his library. John decides to put her in the command zone instead, and draws a card. Hullbreaker then dies, and Sam makes a 3/3. John swings his ape at Tom, killing him. He recasts Eriette, and on end of turn, she drains Sam for 1. On his turn, Sam plays a Swamp. He He activates Spectral Sailor, drawing 1. He swings all of his flyers at John, goading Eriette with Alela's trigger. He then passes to John. John recasts Unquestioned Authority on his ape. In response, Sam counters it with Spellstarter Sprite, making a fairy with Alela. John plays a Plains. He casts Shielded by Fate, targeting Eriette. He follows it up with Luris, allowing him to recast Spirit Link from his graveyard, targeting Eriette. With his end in sight, Sam concedes to the inevitable Eriette trigger, and John wins the game.